Hi everybody. So as you know, I'm an actor, and I was involved, I think, last year with an indie movie, which means independent movie, which means we work for free. However, it was a great storyline. It's all about recovery from alcoholism. Alcoholism. I don't know why I didn't say. I'll tell you why I said that, because in the interview you're going to see next, he says alcoholism in a really strange way. So just take note of that. Really strange. But I went to the premiere last night at a cinema. Saw my beautiful face on a massive screen, which was frightening for others, but it was like Big Eddie for me. It was great. It was really good. And I was really happy with, well, everybody else said my performance was great, but when you're an actor and you see yourself on screen, you're very, very self-critical. You pick up loads of faults. You don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience, but it's nice to get the feedback, if you know what I mean. So it's a story of this young lad who's an alcoholic. Him and his mate, they get into trouble. Then his mum gets cancer, and he goes to Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program, where I'm one of the recovering alcoholics who guides him and gives a speech. And his mum dies, he goes back to alcoholism, and it's an up and down story, but with a happy ending. It's really nice. And even though I was talking along with the script because I knew the script inside out, I still shed a tear at some of the moments in there. You really bought in with the characters, and yeah, it was a great sort of, everybody came together, all new actors, some brand new, totally brand new to the industry, just decided to get into it. Before I play the interview, I'll also mention that Trey, who is the director, he was an actor. He took a starring role in Route Irish, a Ken Loach film, which did really well, and he's turned his hand to direct, and he was the guy who gave me my first break getting onto nearly 3 years ago now. So I'm forever indebted to this guy. But the interview, I tried pushing it towards his views on veganism, but he does like talking, and he did move on to something and mention this guy. Now, I haven't Googled him yet, but you guys should Google this guy and see what he's all about and what he means, because yeah, you might find it quite interesting. Something to do with farmers being how can I put it, being introduced to growing different things in Afghanistan rather than opium poppies. I think he said pomegranates. I think he does say pomegranates, and it's turned into quite a big thing. I'm sorry about the noise, sorry about the quality, because I did it on my phone, which you can never guarantee the quality, but have a listen, see what you think, and as usual, replies down below. Okay, Grumpy Vegan Grandad here, and I'm at the premiere of the new movie, Just for Another Day, is it called?
One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time, my own movie. I'm in it, and I can't even remember the name of it. And I have here the director, Mr. Trey Williams. And I'd just like to ask you first, Trey, what is the film all about?
The film's all about recovery. And when I say recovery, the film centres on recovery from alcoholism. It's about a guy, we follow his story of being a functional alcoholic and a layabout and this and that, and he's getting up to this and that, and all these kind of pros and negatives happen in his life. And then he comes across someone who teaches him about the 12-step recovery program within AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. But really the intrinsic message is that it's not recovery from alcoholism, it's recovery from our thinking patterns. So you can be bulimic, you can be a depressive,
A drug addict.
Yeah, drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic. You can suffer from a whole host of ailments, but really the true recovery comes from the moment that you learn to address your thinking patterns, because your thinking patterns change how you think.
Yep, definitely.
And we talked earlier about veganism.
Yeah.
You know, I have started to look at that aspect of stuff as well, and realising that what we eat is what we are, what we think is what we are. So there's all these like kind of interparallel things.
Yeah, I mean, our philosophy is if you eat violence, you are violence.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And I mean, I've watched the film now, and the film is amazing. So you guys, you need to watch the film because it is absolutely amazing. It's a great story. I knew the script, I knew what happened, and I still cried at some of the characters and what happened to them. And it is a really, really cool story. But I want to connect this with veganism because for the simple fact is that people who are alcoholics, who are drug addicts, they're conditioned into a way of thinking. And it takes a lot to drag people out of that particular way of thinking and thinking a different way to stop eating animal products, this and that. So there is some parallels that I can draw from this movie and that you guys will be able to draw from this movie.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I myself have started. I mean, it's funny because at the start of this film, I came across you, and you was. I don't think it was full vegan. I think it was. Oh, you might have been.
I was full vegan by then, yeah.
But it was Brian, because Brian's one as well, and he mentioned it to me, and it just clicked something in my mind. And what I've discovered now is I'm no longer. It's very, very rare that I go to McDonald's because I've become aware of eating meat needlessly or just gratuitously. So I don't buy pork anymore, and it's given me a deeper consciousness. And I'll eat steak very rarely now. But what I do find is that when I eat steak or eat breast of chicken, this and that, because I like my protein, I actually do sit down now and I'm very conscious of giving grace to it, and I genuinely do thank that this animal has given itself for me to eat it, and it tastes better, but it also makes me more conscious of, but don't eat it gratuitously, don't eat it unnecessarily, look for an alternative, and I dare say that I genuinely feel better for it. So yeah, we had a chat earlier on, and you're right, one thing doesn't connect with another, and the core message of this film is about we are what we think. So if we change our thinking patterns and things are different, and as you've just said, you want to connect with the vegans in this world, or prospective vegans, to say, listen, if we look at things differently, we think differently, and our eating habits will change. And I'm all for it. Totally all for it.
I mean, there's definitely a disconnect between what we see in our plate and where it actually comes from.
I totally agree.
Because we look at animals as someone, because they're all personalities.
Yes.
And I know it's a hard sort of thing to grasp, but I think the film, what we've just watched now, just shows that exactly, you change that way of thinking and start thinking from the victim's point of view. Because when you're a heavy drinker, when you're an alcoholic, there's a victim involved.
Yes, of course there is.
There's your family.
Yes.
There's your friends.
Yeah.
There's victims involved. With drugs, there's always victims involved.
Well, let me interject that. The moment we stop thinking of self, our selfish needs, our selfish thinking patterns, is then when we become aware to consider other people and to consider animals and to consider sacrifice and all these things. Basically what we're talking about is gratitude. When we change our thinking patterns more in tune with practicing gratitude, well, once we practice gratitude, our behaviour, our ill behaviour stops functioning the same.
When we start aligning with our morals, with our moral values.
Well, think about what I've just said. How ill is it for people just to pull up at a service station, at McDonald's, and gratuitously eat meat without even considering that an animal's died for that? We just scoff it, we eat it, and that's what I'm talking about. But when we practice gratitude, we change our thinking patterns. So then we're more inclined to go, oh, actually, hang on a minute, an animal's died from that. Do I really need it? Do I really want it?
It's definitely a start.
Yeah, and once it enters, then a guilty conscience comes in.
Yeah.
Because gratitude creates consciousness. And I do believe that the more we develop the conscious, the less likely we are to have ill behaviour.
You see, the thing is as well is people might watch this film. I mean, have you got any plans for it? Do you know where it's going to be distributed, or is that in the future at the moment?
There's a great person behind this now called James Brett. James Brett is the founder of Plants for Peace. Plants for Peace started 12 years ago.
Okay.
And it was an idea of his to change the mindset of Afghanistan farmers from growing opium into growing pomegranates.
Oh, wow,
as we speak now, 25,000 farmers no longer grow opium, they grow pomegranates. Now, when you stop and you really consider that, and you think of the ripple effects of that around the world,
yes, definitely,
it actually makes you take your breath and go, oh my
God. That's amazing. What's this guy's name?
James Brett.
James Brett. Have a look at James Brett. Google that guy.
He's a co-producer of this film, and this film is about changing your thinking patterns, and that's what he's all about. When you stop again, and I'll say this, James Brett has single-handedly started something that's changed 25,000 farmers from growing opium in Afghanistan to growing pomegranates.
That's amazing.
The Russians couldn't control Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The Western governments couldn't, because opium has always fed terrorism.
Yeah.
So when you stop and you think about what he's done, so to have him on board now, because he sees the power of this film, and he sees the power of the next film which we're going to do, which we've already kind of drafted, written, it's really exciting, it's really phenomenal, because and he proved it's only through an initial thought by somebody that can change 25,000 farmers from stopping going.
And do you know something? That's the way veganism works as well. Is that we plant seeds in people's heads, and we tell them, look, this is what's happening. And they might say, I don't give a fuck about the animals, I don't give a fuck about this, but then they'll go away, and that seed slowly takes fruition, and they start thinking about it.
And that's what, the way I've shot this film is to actually do that. Somebody did say to me, he wasn't quite heavy on the alcoholism, and I deliberately wasn't, because I wanted to make it a little thought process of, actually I might be an alcoholic, actually I know somebody who might be an alcoholic. Because then it forces us to look at people's behaviour and the thinking patterns, and that's how we change, isn't it?
Definitely.
I've changed over life. I'm nearly 50 now, nothing like I was, and it's all because 7 years ago I came across a certain new circle of people who was all for recovery and all these things we're talking about, and now I can sit there and say, whatever I was, I no longer am, and I'm changing and developing all the time. What's important is I have to be teachable. But in order to be teachable, it takes people to put something in your mind. And I think great, and you just suggested something then, it's no good ramming stuff down people's
No.
because we're lobsters, we retract into a cave.
Exactly.
It's best to just suggest something, plant the seed, and see how it develops. But things are changing out there, as I've said myself
in
about
all realms,
etc,
mate.
etc.
Well, listen, mate, thank you very much for talking to me. Just mention the film again and tell us when we might see it. And
one
where.
day at a time. It's just on a private screen. It's currently going out to festivals. James Beck's behind it, and we're looking for distribution. So I do think something will happen with it. So keep your eye out for it.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Keep your eye out. Bye bye.